Hi everyone, I'm Alex Romanov, CTO of Beam, Confidential Cryptocurrency and DeFi platform. And I'm really honored to be here today at Asia NFT and DeFi Conference 2021. The topic of my talk today will be the importance of confidentiality in DeFi applications. And I strongly believe this aspect to be of major importance, especially now as we see this entire field of DeFi geared towards wider adoption and attracting more serious traders and larger organizations. Currently, most of DeFi applications are running on Ethereum and are quickly spreading to other blockchains such as Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, and Solana. And all of these blockchains are completely transparent and outside of pseudonymous addresses have little to no privacy at all. So why is this even a problem? To illustrate, I'm going to talk about three issues: front running, whale monitoring, and miner extractable value. So front running is the ability of third parties to monitor the mempool, detect transactions of interest, and then either intercept them by sending transactions with higher fees, or in different scenarios, send transactions that counteract the original transactions to cancel their effect. Now, front running is usually performed by bots and not by human beings because timing is extremely important. And a great article describing how these kind of attacks can be performed and how difficult it is to avoid them can be seen in an article by researchers Dan Robinson and Georgios Konstantopoulos, which describes such an attack, and I think it's a recommended read for everyone who is serious about DeFi trading. For example, one of the issues that allows for effective front-running attacks is so-called transaction ordering dependence. Since most DeFi contracts are not really well tested and validated, these situations often occur where changing the sequence of transactions can have a completely different effect on the entire trade than it was originally planned. Now, many of you probably saw tweets like such and such amount of funds or assets was moved from unknown account to some exchange. And in fact, there are multitudes of services and Twitter accounts called something like whale monitoring or whale sniping or something similar that provide this information. Now, let's not get lulled into false feeling of safety with this unknown account, because even though this account might be unknown to this specific service, it can be very well known to a more sophisticated and technological adversary. And indeed, whale monitoring is a well-known tactic to both detect the strategies of big accounts, to try to predict major market moves, and in fact, use this information to trade and perform arbitrages ahead of time on the market. Which brings us to probably the most important point of all, the miner extractable value, which some researchers claim to be $1.5 billion a year business. Now, miners or validators have both the advanced knowledge and the means to manipulate blocks and transactions, and then can exclude, include, or reorder transactions within a block, thus greatly affecting the outcome of the trades. Similar problems are also happening in all kinds of transaction aggregators, usually used for layer 2 scalability improvements such as ZK rollups and similar technologies. Now, putting these issues together, we get severe infringement on the fairness of the markets, which in our opinion can affect adoption by serious traders, institutional investors, and large financial organizations. Interestingly enough, these issues also affect NFT collectors who are trying to show off their collections while at the same time trying to avoid exposing their Ethereum accounts, to avoid all kinds of side effects like auction sniping and basically everyone being able to know what they're owning and what they're buying. Now, to be sure, these problems are not easy to fix. There is no one silver bullet or magical solution. In fact, it requires a combination of both platform design and application design. And in the remaining time, I will try to tell you what we at Beam are doing to tackle these problems. So before we dive in, a few words about Beam for those who are not familiar with the project. Beam was launched on January 3rd, 2019, and it's a public permissionless blockchain protected by proof of work consensus using Beam Hash 3, which is our proprietary algorithm, mineable on GPUs and producing 1 block per minute. Beam has deflationary emission model with periodic halving every 4 years and capped at about a little over 260 million coins. All Beam transactions are confidential by default and are implemented using a unique combination of Mimblewimble and Lantos protocols and provide up to 64K anonymity set, which is a lot. Just to compare, the anonymity set of Monero is 11, not 11K, just 11. Beam is a serious technological project with long-term vision and a lot of great achievements under its belt. First Mimblewimble implementation on mainnet, first Lantos implementation, decentralized confidential atomic swaps, and many more. Combined with a family of wallets and with focus on usability, we'll also aim to make our technology usable and accessible for everyone. Beam also supports opt-in auditability, which makes Beam users able to comply with any relevant regulation. Now, Beam has recently added smart contracts to the blockchain and is currently working on confidential DeFi ecosystem, which will bring the expertise that we have developed in the field of privacy to DeFi applications. We have built our own Beam virtual machine based on the tried and true WebAssembly technology, which has a lot of existing development tools and a strong community. Our roadmap this year reflects our beliefs and includes such important milestones as decentralized bridges between Ethereum and Beam that will allow moving assets from Ethereum to Beam and then back. Also, in the coming weeks, Beam is launching BeamX DAO, which will become the governance body for the entire protocol in the years to come. So now let's dive deeper and understand how Beam Confidential DeFi ecosystem is going to help to solve the problems that I have described earlier. And we will start from the inner layer, which is our confidential blockchain. As I mentioned, all of the transactions are private by default. And not only are all of the values encrypted, but also there is no identifying information or addresses stored in the blockchain at all, which means that even if one of the wallets becomes compromised, it would not be possible to use it to trace the information back to the beginning using the blockchain, unlike most other confidential cryptocurrencies today. Now, Beam blockchain also supports an ability to create confidential assets. And unlike Ethereum, where those require adding smart contracts like ERC20 or similar contracts to implement them, in Beam, confidential assets are implemented on layer 1, which means that they are first-class citizens of the blockchain and in fact are as confidential as the Beam itself. These confidential assets can be emitted either manually by any user or can be controlled by smart contracts, which opens us with a lot of interesting possibilities for implementing smart contracts, DeFi applications, and trading these assets on the blockchain. Now, one of the most important milestones in our upcoming roadmap is the creation of confidential decentralized bridges, and we have chosen to start with Ethereum, which means that the user will be able to move assets from Ethereum to Beam, trade them confidentially on Beam, and then, if needed, move them back to Ethereum and sell them there. Now, we believe this to be a very important extension because obviously most of the liquidity right now is residing on Ethereum, and it will greatly expand the possibilities of our ecosystem to be more practical and more usable. In the future, we will also planning to add such bridges with other blockchains, specifically Polkadot and Solana, and we're working hard on this part as well. Most of the applications would require some kind of Oracle data, and for that we're going to integrate with Chainlink, which is one of the industry standard Oracle providers today. And of course, all of these applications will be available within our decentralized application store, which is available in every wallet. And in the future, we're also going to make this distribution of decentralized application decentralized as well, using our SBBS system, which is a secure bulletin board system that allows wallets to exchange encrypted messages. This system also has a lot of additional advantages. For example, in order to prevent transaction reordering, this system can be used to establish this kind of layer 2 protocol for strict transaction order, and thus not allow miners or in fact any other third party who is monitoring the mempool to tamper with the transaction order and change the results of the outcoming trades. On the outer shell of this diagram, you can see various applications that will be developed either by Beam or by Beam partners, and those include all of the most important and kind of standard applications in the DeFi space: lending, stablecoin, synthetic assets, AMM swaps, and of course, the voting mechanism of BeamX DAO and any other DAO that will be launched on Beam will also be completely confidential, which means that unlike most of the DAOs today, it will not be possible to see who is voting for which decisions, which we think is an important part of a proper governance process. Now, as you can see in this diagram, there are two tokens mentioned, Beam and BeamX. And Beam is obviously a native token of the Beam blockchain, while BeamX is going to be the governance token of the BeamX DAO. And of course, any new DAO or application that will be added to Beam blockchain will be able to emit its own tokens and use them for governance or reward for the participation or any other purpose, just like it happens on Ethereum and other blockchains today. So as we can see, Beam Confidential DeFi ecosystem provides a bottom-up approach to create a completely fully functional confidential DeFi ecosystem that not only provides privacy for all of its participants, but also protects against many kinds of minor extractable value and front-running attacks. Now, I strongly believe that confidentiality, together with better application design that will allow prevention of minor extractable value attacks and front-running, will greatly benefit the entire DeFi space and allow for better and quicker adoption for more serious traders and large organizations. Thank you very much, and stay safe, stay private, and have a great day.